Did it work? I think it worked. Except now I'm opposite and my hand jab is going to go all over the place. So, hey, this is what I do. Gina, since I see you right there and I got to bump this up, can you see and hear me? I want to make sure my microphone's working when I don't have my earbuds on. So if you can put something in the comments to let me know so I can problem solve that if needed. And if not, yay, that I don't need to problem solve. Because if you got a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Right? Okay, and here's what I'm going to do too. There we go. Ellen, nice to see you. Jeanette. Okay, Laura made the hop. Okay, Kara says hear and see. Thank you. That's the favorite thing to know, because if I need to be like my own IT department, then I will do it. But if I don't need to be, I'd prefer not to. I am just going to do this one quick thing, and I think you guys might appreciate it, is I'm going to get the recording from the TikTok live I just did. I'm going to spend like a smidge here to just get the download. No, I'm going to get that started to download. There we go. I'm also going to double check. Oh goodness. All right. This is a much better feed. Interesting. Kara, what do you like about this feed? I'm just curious because I see benefits and detriments right there. Okay, it's really windy here, but you were cutting out. Interesting. See, the funny thing is for both of these, they're both going off the Wi-Fi at our house. As I look at my Wi-Fi thing, I mean, I will offer, technology is not my strong suit, but I make it work for me. So one thing I do like about the people that are brave enough to go from the comfort of TikTok and try something new, which is YouTube, is that it is a smaller quantity and, dare I say, higher quality number of people that show up for these, because you maybe didn't know how to even sign on or find a YouTube Live, but you have problem solved that. Okay. There we go. Oh, interesting. Okay. I hope that in the recording of the TikTok, my voice doesn't cut out. But I do, and also you can type more in the comments. Interesting. Okay, good to know. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, they're both different for me because one of them I use my phone, and the other one, my YouTube, I use my laptop. Laptop, Johnny. But hey, how cool is it that we have ways of connecting over the airwaves? In the airwaves, I think there's a song by Thomas Dolby like that. Kim Harris, calm. Ah. Boy, do I love that feeling. It's like vacation right there. That was like a micro vacation to just think of calm. I'm sitting there on my deck of my overwater villa in the Maldives. I've got the Maldives on the brain, you guys. I'm not going to lie. That and Palm Springs. It's that time of year. And you're just looking out over that blue water that you see all the time on the TikToks. You don't have to do anything. Maybe you're swinging on a hammock. See, the funny thing is I'm not in the Maldives. I'm not in a hammock right now, but man, my body felt like it was. Talk about magic and time travel. That is magic right there. I made my body feel as if we were on vacation. Now I'm here. I did a bit of time travel. Zoop, now I'm back here in suburban Pennsylvania. Too funny, huh? So how's everybody doing declutter-wise? I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling really good. I have done a little bit each day with some of this stuff. I am psyched. I will share with you. One of the things I was struggling with was a good way for me to store some of my boxes of sentimental clutter, for lack of a better term, down the basement. And I found a way to do that where I could fit more boxes onto the shelving unit that was available. And I offer to you, that it felt good when I had a place for those things, a home for those boxes. Okay, there was a home for those boxes, and it made it easier for me to bring more of them down there. So I'm feeling good about that. And I have more room in this corner right here. So Brooke Courtenay is saying, feeling overwhelmed. Oh my goodness, did we talk about overwhelm at the TikTok Live? And I'm happy to help with you. Going to tackle before the holidays. Okay, Brooke, what I'm going to give you is an easy peasy way that's going to help you feel less overwhelmed. And what I want to recommend is this: sit down and write down. There are 2 downs that you can use right now. Get all of the brain. So calming down your nervous system, a way you can do that is to sit down and write down, getting all of the thoughts that you have up here down on paper. The cool thing is about this is, much like we talk about getting out of overwhelm and into action, as I like to say, is your body cannot move as quickly as your brain. Okay. And so on the flip side, when your brain is trying to keep, when your brain and your body are hanging out together, it's like they're on a walk. Now the brain is walking really fast, but they got to stick together to do something good. So your brain will need to slow down a little bit to keep up with the body, who can only write the words. Because think about it. I could say an entire sentence in less than 10 seconds, but it would take me longer than that to write it down legibly and in a quasi-complete sentence. So writing down things from your head legibly and in quasi-complete sentences. I highly recommend adding a verb to your sentences. Make sure there's a verb in there. That will also provide a calming effect on your nervous system. Okay, so Brooke, make a list of all the things you want to tackle before the holidays. And you already have it right here. It's pretty much just downloading it from your head onto paper. Okay. Now, this is interesting. Laura Voorhees says, I stopped working on packing up son's bookcase because I don't have enough boxes. Maybe I declutter a crate to package his. I will ask you this, Laura. I will ask you this. Does your son want all those books? Has he said, yes, I want to take all those? Or would it be easier for him to come over and just pick up the ones he wants and then donate some? It would take fewer boxes, I'm assuming. Have you already decluttered them, or are you just moving all of his stuff without the decluttering process? No judgment here. I am a judgment-free zone. I'm just curious kind of what your process is for this. Okay. He needs to go through them. Okay. So you're packing them up. Okay. So sometimes it can be easier for the person to go through them where they are and then just pack up the ones that you want to donate, pack up the ones that he wants to take. Because then you can use the containers you want to keep. Like you could put the ones he wants to keep in like a plastic tote, because then when he brings them to where he lives, I'm assuming that you could reuse the tote. Whereas the stuff you put in a cardboard box could be the ones you donate and you just leave in it. Okay. All righty. Oh, hey, this is great. All righty. So Patty says, I irked. I believe she says I worked, because it was irking. I don't think it was irking. I worked on my list at the declutter party with Beth yesterday. Yes, the writing down of all the things Patty wanted to do prior to the holidays. I have a roadmap and it is doable. Oh, I love that. I was trying to do way too many things at once and it layered on top of another. Okay. No, it's all good, Patty. I love it. Yeah. Notice that it can feel good to do it. You may be having some resistance, but writing it down. Writing down a list helps. I wouldn't offer it unless it did, if it didn't. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Laura Voorhees, I get where you're coming from. Laura is saying I'm packing them all up. He can do it on his own time because he and I struggle with feeling ready to do it. Okay. But I will, this is where I come from this is me as like a Gen Xer who had an art degree in the 80s and really wasn't set up to do anything specific getting out of college. As I look at things from a lot of different experiences, and I love to look at things from kind of an efficiency point of view, that it's like, it would be so much easier possibly to just say, come over here for an hour, pick out some. And it may be easier to do that. That's a good point about him sorting the books here, but there's no true, perfect, right and wrong way to do this. I just try to point out where it might be easier and more efficient but you know you better than I do, and you know him better than I do. Because then at least the sorting is the decluttering. And I will offer Laura, you have so much more experience with the art and science and skill of decluttering that he does, that even if you were there, you could guide him through that process. If he has boxes full of books and they just moved to his house, that's not going to help him with the decluttering process. And those boxes could conceivably be in storage at his house for a really long time. I suggest this because seriously, so my parents moved into their house in 1969, and just last year, out of the attic of that house in 2025, I moved boxes of binders of printed out papers that my dad used as reference materials for writing papers when he was in college and business school in the mid to late 50s and early 60s. So sometimes if you don't know what to do with things, you just keep it in a box. Okay. Yeah, it was a time capsule and it was kind of interesting, but man, I didn't need all that detail. It was kind of fun to look at for a smidge. And I'm like, I don't want this in my house. All righty. Okay. There we go. I love it. Yay for Patty. See, this is the cool thing I love about doing the declutter parties. Patty says also learning to be flexible and take help. Hubby put outside lights up, not in my order, but she was flexible about it, but not hurting anything. So notice that. Good thing he did. Found out a couple of strands don't work. So now he is taking care of that. Yeah. So not feeling that feeling of I am doing everything because somebody else is doing something that's beneficial too. Yeah. I am doing a lot. I am noticing, frankly, how much more time it takes when you do all the things yourself when there's nobody around you. And I have to bake that into my days right now as I temporarily am playing the part of a single person because my husband is out of the country. So it does take longer and it does take more energy and you get tired and the day goes by quicker when you're doing it all on your own. So if there is somebody that that benefits from the work, they should participate in it as well. That's how I think about it. Now, my husband can't really participate now, but man, when he gets home, but also it's good for me to remind myself, like yesterday, it was kind of goofy. I totally felt like one of those like clueless, like housewives because somebody came to pick up the washing machine that actually works. I've donated it to a local place. I didn't install it. They're like, where's your water shut off? And I was like, you know what? I don't even know because I just kind of pawned that stuff off on him. But now we went down the basement. And the guy's like, oh, here, I think it is right here. And it was. So now I know it. Hey, okay. All righty. There we go. Kara is saying, I'm almost to the end of my necklaces. If you guys remember, Kara is selling a lot of the vintage jewelry that she lovingly acquired and lovingly owns, but now she's kind of paring down her collection. So she's almost to the end of my necklaces. Nice pieces, but not a lot sold like the bracelets and the brooches. So notice that. Some things sell better than others. Some girls' mothers are bigger than other girls' mothers. I'm pressing on. And next is men's vintage. It's a process for me. I'm not giving up. I love it. Yeah. And you now have fewer pieces of jewelry than when you started. Yeah. I'm doing lots, pulling stuff for eBay, but haven't started that yet. Okay. Now I can infer, I know Kara is trying to work again against some of these due dates we have in the future of, holidays or healthcare, things like that. I will be honest with you guys. One of the reasons there are so many TikTok lives and YouTube lives, and especially the declutter parties scheduled for November, is because basically for the first 2 weeks of December, I'm going to be MIA for a bit because I have a trip to take and I'm going to get cataract surgery. So I don't know how that's going to suss out. So I don't want to commit. So knowing that, I want to cram in a lot of stuff kind of before Thanksgiving myself. Okay. So I offer to you, Do you have like a due date? Do you have like a date kind of in the calendar that there's some things you want to get done before? It can be really helpful. We did this, Patty and I did this yesterday. Is we looked at the calendar as I pop it up on my screen right here, and I just walked her through some of the dates. So as a reminder, um, Thanksgiving is Thursday, November 27th. It is 3 weeks and 2 days from today. Okay. Looking at a calendar can help you see how much time you ostensibly have before a certain time. So I just offer that to you. Now I note, for example, because of after that, I will on December 1st, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, let me look. Yeah, okay, so here's a good news. Here's a good news. For the first week of December, I can be available for TikTok lives and one-on-ones and all that. Then I go away for a couple of days and then eye surgery. So really, this was helpful to me, was to look at the calendar and say, oh, in my head, the calendar in my head saw 2 weeks that were blocked off that said nobody's business. But then when I actually looked at the calendar, I saw that really a lot of that stuff is on 1 week. So how cool is that? All right. Uh-huh. Yep. There you go. Kara is noticing. It's easy to get discouraged when things that you hope all of it sells and not all of it does. It can be easy to get discouraged about the process, that it's not working. So if you want to get discouraged and not have courage and stop, you focus on what you didn't sell. But when you stop that, Kara says, but, conjunction, junction, but I remind myself. How do you remind yourself of something? You tell yourself a better story. But I remind myself, and this is the story, I'm nearly $1,200 up, and it will pick up again. All I need to do is keep listing. Then I'll start on eBay. So notice, there's going to be a thought. This isn't working. Things didn't sell. Focusing on the glass half empty, I guess. But then you say, wait a minute, that's not going to do me a lot of good. I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to notice what has gone right. I have made $1,200. That's pretty awesome. That's not crackerjack money. Excuse me. Remind yourself of what you did do when it did work. Write those things down. Remind yourself of the stuff that worked. That will lessen your discouragement and encourage and increase your courage to just show up again. Think about, again, if I looked at how many, oh, that's weird. My phone is not supposed to be making disturb noises. Do not disturb. Let me turn it off. There we go. It would be comical. I could easily do this, and you guys could too. I don't recommend it, but going back and scrolling all the way to here, my very first TikTok video that I ever put up, my very first probably 100 are probably awkward, stiff, stumbling, rambling, whatever. But I showed up, and I showed up, and I showed up, and I kind of got over that, and hopefully I got better. I hope these are better than my beginning ones, and I learned something, Yep. There we go. And Kara's making a plan. She's chunking it down. The true costume that doesn't sell will go into big lots by mid-December. Yeah, instead of selling things piece by piece, I'll make a big lot, and I'll offer the lot to somebody. I will put the valuable vintage on eBay. Yeah. So notice you can chunk down what you have. That if it doesn't sell all individually, what else can I do to get this jewelry out of my home that I'm not wearing, give it to a good home, and also, I don't know, make a couple of bucks while I'm doing it. Why not? And the reason I say this is because Kara is a well-versed seller. As she's mentioned this before, she's done this before, but even the well-versed sellers, even the people with the experience can struggle with, is it working? Is it worth it? get discouraged about the process. So I remind you of that, because if you are not a seasoned online seller, you will feel that too, because even the experts feel that way sometimes. So think twice about whether you truly want to sell your stuff online, or if it would be easier for you to donate it somewhere where you can take a tax write-off, things like that. Just something to think about. Now, here's a funny thing. I was just thinking about people who have made a list. Yeah, and I love it. Kara has a boundary, has a due date. I'm going to do this stuff before the due date of my goal is to not have all this in the new year. Yeah. Now notice, this is just kind of an arbitrary date on our calendars. Isn't it interesting that month to month, it's just a bunch of days, but then we've chunked down the bunch of days into weeks and months, and we give extra meaning to the time in which the end of one month becomes the beginning of another, and even more when 1 year becomes another. So we do put a lot of kind of, pressure on those types of things, but in reality, January 1st is kind of like the day before, you know? Uh-huh. So, Penny Myers is asking people to give like the thumbs up to the live. I might as well just say, it's 11:23. I think somebody's blowing leaves outside. If you want to give the thumbs up to this, it might amplify the signal to people that are not tuned in that this is here, because YouTube is a different place. Here, I'll talk closer to the microphone. YouTube is a different place than TikTok, so people don't necessarily scroll as much. Okay, so it could help other people find us, but I'm cool with what we have here. But you do you. Okay. In the meantime, I was saying something. I was really saying something. Do-a. Oh, here's what I was thinking. Those of us who made lists yesterday, if we did something, just take a look at your list, and you may need to make a different version of that list. What do I mean by that? Is that you may have some things that you did. Oh, I already threw mine away from yesterday, that you already did, that you crossed things off. You may have things that came up that you want to write down before you forget. Oh, one thing I do want to make sure, and I apologize. I remembered I was supposed to get notified about when the washer and dryer are coming. And so I just want to have my messages ahead of me in case I happen to be first in line. That being said, your lists are always going to be evolving. Some things will get done, other things will be put on. It's kind of a flow, okay? It's great sometimes when everything you have on the list gets done, but it doesn't necessarily, unless you write a very small list. All the stuff on your list cannot get done because it's always inputs in and outputs, It's always in flow. It reminds me, God, I could go on about this guy that I worked with when I was in my corporate job, who tried to treat so many people like cogs in a machine. And he and I that's what got me out of my management position, because I was like, I refuse to treat my people like machines. He would not let people leave the night before Thanksgiving because he's like, well, the basket's not empty. I'm like, we never shut off. We never shut off the stuff coming in the basket. There will always be something in the basket, so we need to determine it. So I say that to you in a good way. Note that your list is always kind of stuff coming off, stuff on, wax on, the wax off. Okay. Well, there we go. Now, this is interesting. Laura, he says, and especially because she ran out of boxes anyway, we'll postpone the bookcase declutter to do with the sun here. Experiment with it. See how it goes. Awesome. Just decluttered the fridge instead. It always feels good to be able to see everything and get it out easily. Yes. Notice the things you can do that you'll feel better about that are also not reliant on somebody else. So yay, I will be truly interested, Laura. And I know you show up to the TikTok lives and the YouTube lives and the parties and all that kind of thing. I look forward to hearing how it went with your son. when you do the bookcase declutter with him. Because remember, you have a lot more experience, whether you realize it or not, but you probably do. Just by hanging out in this environment, you are picking up things that are now becoming second nature to you, but that may feel like revelations to your son. The way to approach the decluttering with a calmer nervous system, to lower the barrier to get started, to be happy with whatever progress you make and not make it, I have to do it all and it needs to be done, you know? Also noticing things that you make it easier for you to use. I love this. This is so true. Took the mandarins out of the net bag. I can see them and it's easier for you to grab one and remember them as a healthy option. Yes, how can I make it easier for me to do the things I want to do in my home? And usually that is about taking something out of a container, doing one less step to get started with it. You know, it's putting your workout equipment closer to where you might watch a workout video, whether that's on your computer or on a TV. It's about putting the healthier options in a place that's easily accessible. And on the flip side, maybe the leftover Halloween candy goes in an upper cupboard and you throw it up there. So it's less likely you're going to be eating Reese's and more that you're going to eat those goddamn hard-boiled eggs I made, you know? Penny Meyer says, oh, can we talk about that? I like things out so I can see them, but then I feel the clutter. Okay. This is okay. So yes, we can totally talk about that, Penny, because there is this erroneous, in my mind, phrase that gets a lot of traction just because it's been said a lot. Now, I think there can be a grain of truth to this, but I don't think it is as absolute as people give it credit. And here's the phrase I have an issue with, and I'm happy to expound upon it. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. That thought causes a lot of people to then think, I need everything out in my face at the same time. The human brain also gets overwhelmed like that. You will notice if you try that approach, in sight, you think it's going to be in mind, but you know what happens? As you already noticed, I feel the clutter. So what I look to think is, Penny, and everybody here, think of all the places in your home right now and write down the evidence of where you have things out of sight, and this is stored, but you know where it is. I'm sitting in this room right now, and I could tell you where behind a door or in a drawer, where my coffee cups are, where my cereal is, where my vitamin C pills are, where the saran wrap is, where the George Foreman grill is. I could tell you where those things are but even though they are out of sight, I still know where they are. Okay. So notice you may be trying to make things better by putting things in your sight. But if there are too many things in your sight, your brain, as a self-preservation mechanism, will make you blind to them. You won't even see it anymore, even though literally it's right there, because the brain can be overwhelmed with too many visual inputs. And that cannot feel good. It's too much kind of all at once. So practice that. Okay. Now, clear storage can be helpful. But even the clear storage, I bet it's probably in a refrigerator is a big cold place to store things, you know? Oh, very cool, you guys. Laura says, my kitty keeps sitting on my phone. Are you feeling his loving, fluffy hug? Now I am. Thank you for that. Yeah. Ooh, I love it. Therapy Gal Sue made a decision. What do I want? Made a decision to delay Thanksgiving travel with all of the air travel chaos. I will go after Christmas. The relief of that decision made is greater than the sitting and waiting and seeing what happens. I took my control back. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Because notice when you make a decision you feel good about, you can feel good Good about hood. You can feel good about a decision for months. I was talking about this with a one-on-one client yesterday, and we were talking about travel. And it's that kind of, do I try to get myself the best flight, but I'm working on it every day and I'm getting stressed out? Should I, shouldn't I, shouldn't I, should have, or saying, you know what, I'm going to buy the ticket now, and then I have peace of mind knowing that even though the trip isn't until whatever, I have my ticket. Feeling good about that decision is now taking the stress out of between now and Thanksgiving and beyond. Yeah. So yay for you for taking your control back and feeling good, Sue. That's awesome. Now, Wendy says there are things I need to see, like leftovers. Me too. So I try to use my clear storage in my fridge so I can find all the components to my meal so it doesn't die and mold somewhere deep in the fridge. Wendy, I'm the same way. And I'm the only person in the house right now. So I am putting my leftovers like on the top shelf, front and center. So I remember to eat those first. Yeah. Okay. Now, Penny says things away are mostly clothes, but I wrote this down to look at and think about later. So yeah, think about even right now. I bet you could, being whatever room you're in, you could close your eyes and picture your kitchen and know where things are indoors and behind doors and in drawers. You could do it in your bedroom. What's in your, your bureau. You could do it in the bathroom. Like in our bathroom, we have like a big closet, like kind of a linen closet type of thing. And I know what's in there, even though it's not, it's one step away from being in my face all the time. I got to share with you guys the Airbnb that my friends and I rented when we were in the Azores was very new and kind of modern. And there was so much like storage, nice, clean, new storage with white, it's just a handle. Once I opened it, all my stuff was there. But man, did it feel good to just close that and give my eyes and brain a rest. So think about that. Your doors and drawers are helping preserve your sanity because it gives your eyes and brain a chance to just not be always identifying things all the time. Okay. Now, Wendy says, I was going to break out my winter clothing to wash and sort, but it will be 80 today. Not feeling it. Yeah. There's going to be a time when you feel like it makes sense to do that. There's going to be other times where it's not going to feel that. I'm of the camp of when it feels right, you do it. And if it doesn't hurt anybody, including yourself, to push it off, then do that. You know? Now, funny thing is, Wendy, I will share an anecdote. So I recently spent some of my time washing some of my winter clothes and putting them out, even though it's still pretty nice here, and putting away my 2 totes. Like I have 2 plastic totes that I switch from my winter clothes to my summer clothes goes in, and then vice versa. And I realized at a certain point, technically I'm putting away these warm weather clothes that I'm going to unpack in about a month because that's when we go on one of our trips. But in the meantime, it feels good to know that they're away, and it feels good to not have them in my face, even though in a month I will need them. In a month, I know where they are, and I will unpack them then. Okay? So I went through that. I was like, this feels kind of crazy. I know I'm going to be putting these in a suitcase in about a month, but in the meantime, I have a month of not being surrounded by my summer clothes. All right. Yay, Penny Myers. This is helping you. Yeah. And yes, Kara's jealous. I'm jealous of the 80 degrees too. Hard freeze is coming this weekend for us. Gardening season is done. Thank God the jewelry season has started. Yeah. Yeah. Notice you're going to be growing some stuff on the inside of your house. Now, Laura says, I thought of you as I went through my spices the other day, made a list of spices I will need to replace. Not buying the nary used ones unless I do a recipe that specifically calls for it. And I would even say this, Laura, I don't know what your friend fam is like, but we have a lot of recipes, or we have a number of spices that were for one specific recipe, and then the stuff just ages. The next time we do a recipe that we're going to need like a tablespoon of this or a teaspoon of that, I am seriously going to just send out a message to my local people to be like, does anybody have cardamom or does anybody have cumin? Because we don't need a whole jar of it. But I will offer to you, I went through our spices and then I realized that it would be unfair of me to declutter the spices, except if they were really gross, which were very few. It would be unfair of me to declutter the spices that are kind of on the cusp because my husband's not around and he tends to use those. So I would rather have a discussion with him about that. But yeah, I mean, notice we can have, we are in a consumerist society. So they get us in the habit of not sharing what we have, you know? Yeah, and there we go. Wendy says there's a great little company called Penzies Spices. I've used them before. They have little pouches to try their spice blends. I found so many favorites that way. Yeah. Like we have, and if you notice too, sometimes like I will pay almost more for the tiny little jar from McCormick's as opposed to the big ones because that stuff ages. It will break down, the oils will get old, and I would much rather have a smaller quantity that I may run out of and have to buy more than have like the 5-pound thing of garlic salt from Costco and have it for like 50 years. I'm not a commercial kitchen. Yeah. Yeah. But sometimes, and Wendy says, yeah, why buy the big one if you won't use it before it goes off? But sometimes the big one can be almost like, well, it costs $2 for the small one, but it's costing me $2.50 for all this. I can use this. But then you realize, like, we had some onion powder. I think it literally was for like one recipe. And then when I pulled it out, it had expired. And I swear to God, I was like tapping it on the counter, and it was like solid. Yes. Hmm. Yes, and Penzies is awesome. A very liberal company, happy to support a company that speaks out against this administration. And I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. 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 Funny. I love it. Laura says I dumped so many antique bottles. I saved the 3 glass ones to give away flowers in and recycled the rest. Awesome. Awesome. The one thing I'm going to do too, and I'm just going to offer this to you as we speak about being on the spice journey. I guess we're the Spice Girls right now. Is when I was at my library recently, I noticed that they have kind of the library of stuff. And one of the things that they have that I technically could buy, but how often am I going to use it? They have a thing you can borrow, which is a label maker. Actually, the funny thing is I realize as I say this, I have a Dymo tape label maker somewhere, but I don't think it would go around, like the plastic would go around a spice jar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow the label maker from the library and I'm going to make bigger black and white labels. And I know it's going to sound like an old person home, but I don't care, to make the best by date on those things a lot more obvious so that as we go through our spices, we're not there trying to struggle to see what it is, you know? And so I just offer to you, is there a way that you can label yours so you know which ones are kind of on the fringe? One of the things I did was the ones that had kind of just expired that my husband uses and he may want to use in his food is I put a little piece of tape on the top and I said like best by date past and this is what it is. But I also separated out those and I put them on a top shelf because he's not going to be around for months. And it was interesting to see how few spices we had left because I did this last year. Yeah. Oh my God. Laura Voorhees. This is one of the reasons when she says I had to put on my readers to read those tiny little things. This is when I was like, this is really good that I'm getting eye surgery because I'm there like my grandmother and my great aunts and all that going like, okay, and getting under the light. It was old people talk. Yes, it is. It is so hard to read. Yeah. Yep. There we go. And Wendy is also offering to, I have taken a picture of it to blow it up. Yep. To see that. So notice the things we need to do. Yes. Yeah. I have to take off my glasses to read them. So we're all different. Yeah. Yeah. So notice the things we have to do to get the stuff done. And our bodies are aging. I don't know about yours, but mine is. So what do we got here? All right. Today is Tuesday. It is 11:40 a.m. Eastern. Do the math if you're in a different time zone. And yeah. And I offer to you, we will be done here in about 20 minutes. So if this was one of the TikTok, or excuse me, the Destination Decluttered declutter parties, what I would say to you is to start thinking about shifting gears. What do I mean by that? Is saying, okay, what, even though it's 20 minutes from now, I've got like something on my face. You've probably seen me picking it. It's probably some like, what do you call, like, I'm getting old lady hairs. Funny, Wendy is saying, "Oh, good grief, I have been sitting here all morning thinking it was Wednesday." I'm not gonna lie, Wendy, when I was taking a shower right before these lives, I remember grabbing my towel going, "Is today Wednesday or Tuesday? Is it Monday?" And the only reason I remembered it was Tuesday is because we have a standing Monday thing every couple of weeks with some friends, and I knew what happened last night. Okay, so today is Tuesday, and it is Tuesday, November 4th. Voting is happening in many places. Vote for the good people, not the bad people. And it is almost noontime. We've got about a little over 15 minutes. So this is where I say to you, take a look at, like, let's enjoy where we are right now, but let's also just take a look a little bit down the road today from here until about 6 p.m. And I ask you, what do you got planned? Do you have a roadmap? Are there some things you would like to have gotten done by 6 p.m. tonight? And if the answer is yes, I highly recommend you write them down. Even if they're in your head, can't hurt, might help to write them down. When you write something down and you do it, you get the visceral delight of crossing it off your list when you're done. When you write something down, you also have that wonderful relief of kind of letting it go and placing it somewhere safe so you don't have to keep it up here. Okay? So, have you written down 3 things you would like to do today? And they don't have to all be tasks. Take a walk, eat something healthy, call a friend, text your mother, check your emails, whatever it is. Write that stuff down. Yeah, there we go. And here's a wonderful example of this. Laura Voorhees says, my list is so helpful. When I am wandering around like a ping pong ball, I look at the list and it helps me focus. I get to choose what I do. So instead of bopping around like a ping pong ball with that feeling of getting nothing done, I can look at my list and pick something that says, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can email my eye doctor. Yes, I can make a dermatologist appointment. Yes, I can vacuum this room. That's what I have written down. Download the TikTok Live and call it the one about overwhelm. I would much rather you overwrite things down. I don't think that really exists. If I would write down everything, because then you get that delight of crossing it off. You also can help you remain on target, but don't get overwhelmed. If you write everything down, always to me, have that be kind of like the giganto master list somewhere. But don't use that as your working list. I do that when I have my Trello list. I have all these lists of all sorts of things, all of my ideas that I write down that I don't want to forget. I put them there. But then the very first list is the stuff that's more like my active to-do list. So, do you have something that you want to get done between noon and 6 today that you're kind of like stuck with? Okay. Yeah. Wendy says writing stuff down helps me sort items, either in my head because I made room to sort for ideas to grow, or on my paper or dry erase board. Yeah, I guess technically I would think of my my Trello list as like my digital dry erase board because I cannot stand regular dry erase boards. I'm left-handed and they remind me of corporate, so I don't use them. But if they work for you, yay. Use the tools that work for you. Okay? All righty. Anything you're dreading doing between noon and 6 today? Anything you've been dreading doing that you would feel so much better having gotten it done before 6 o'clock today? Put it in the comments and we can work on this. I've been feeling pretty good, honestly, about getting so much better at doing the things that I used to drag my feet on. Okay. So I know what it's like to drag my feet on stuff, even good stuff, frankly. Like, getting in touch with somebody again about helping plan a trip. There was something, what do I have? Emails? Yeah, like being on hold with the Boston Globe saying, "Where's my daily email with the headlines?" Um, some things you dread, but you'll be glad when you did it. So I just offer to you, I'm here for another 13 minutes or so. I want to help. I don't want to just hear myself talk. So let's use this. Is there anything I'm dreading between now and noon? I have something that I'm looking forward to. That's great. Here's one thing for me. I am concerned about if my washer dryer delivery runs too late, that it's going to make me late for an appointment I have. So what can I do about that? I can call them at noontime to see where I am on the list. Okay. Kara says, I'm dreading listing more necklaces because they aren't selling, but I know I just need to get through it. Kara, how about this? At some point, if necklaces are showing that they're not selling, could you immediately go to lotting them right now? Could you immediately be like, doing them individually has proven that it's really not working? Could I just put them in lots right now and go right to that part of it? Could that make it easier? Just something. The other thing too you could do, and you've done this kind of a riff on this before, is pick some of the ones that haven't sold and then pick one that you had yet to sell. So it's a new one in with all the ones that hadn't sold before and make a lot. That could be working smarter, not harder, from the goal of getting all of this stuff out before the new year. Just a thought. Okay, there we go. I'm doing lots of 9. Okay, awesome. Maybe you double it. I don't know. Just an idea. Yeah, maybe you lower your price. Notice where the dread is coming in and what can I do to alleviate the dread? And I will say this, just as a general statement, not to Kara or anybody, don't be so married to the process that you're like, well, I started by doing this, so I have to do all of these this way. Learn with what's working and be flexible and change the plan as you go along. That might help you feel better about doing it and feeling better knowing that your destination is destination quantities out, right? Yeah. Now, Gail is saying organizing my closet. So, Gail, organizing your closet. Okay. And how can we get you started there? Where are you stuck? What's the thought? What is one thought that goes through your head like a little ticker tape with some words on it that is causing you to be stuck organizing your closet? Okay. Now, Catherine, excuse me. I want to be done with grief stuff. Okay. So you've got some stuff that reminds you of the feeling of grief. Okay. Identify that stuff. What would be a way that would make you feel good about getting that stuff out of your house today? Not all of it, maybe, but some of it. So think of that difference, all or some. Okay. Gail says too much stuff. Okay. Very vague words lead to very vague things. So let's get a little bit more specific. Okay, Gail, we're going to play a game. So what are 3 categories of stuff in your closet? Put them in the comments. 3 categories of stuff. Okay. Yeah. Yay. I'm glad LO is noticing. Trello has been really helpful for organizing and moving around goals and plans for me. I love it. I do. Notice the things that cause you to feel the feeling of grief when you look at them. Put them in a pile. What is a way to easily get rid of some of that stuff? Things that cause you to feel feelings are typically sentimental. And those sentimental things it can be easier to let go of them a little bit at a time. Okay? It can be easier a little bit at a time. Okay? What else was I thinking? Here, I just want to double check this. Doop. We have about 9 minutes left here. And Laura Voorhees is offering, asking Kara if she's on the pen pal list. I'm pretty sure she is. Okay. Gail says summer clothes, craft materials, and some winter clothes. Okay. Out of those 3 categories, Gail, notice what we're doing. Everybody, this is what we're doing. We are chunking down. Instead of looking at the whole closet and getting overwhelmed, what is out of those 3 categories, which one of them would you feel good about getting something done with that category in the closet by 6 o'clock today? Just one of those categories. Which one would you like to spend some time decluttering today? Not all of them, but just one of those categories, Gail. Put it in the comments. This is how we do. This is how we do it. All right. So Laura Voorhees, as Gail puts that in there, Laura Voorhees is bringing up the Pen Pal Club. This is kind of a subset of people that are part of the email group. It's pretty informal right now. I haven't put anything specific about it on the page, but I will. And it's basically, so what can happen right here is people can get in touch with other people on the list without having to go through me, sending some words of encouragement or a little gift or a little idea and not having to kind of go through me to get to other people. If you're interested in that and you're part of the email group, just shoot me a direct email to me, Beth@destinationdecluttered.com. Let me know you're interested in the Pen Pal Club, and please let me know what state you live in, because that's one way, that's one kind of identifying thing that might help you connect with people. Okay, so now as I said that, Gail is saying summer clothes. Okay, so notice you've got 2/3 of the stuff. So summer clothes. Now, not knowing where you live, is that stuff getting packed up or hung up? Are you putting it away, or are you bringing it out for the season? Okay. When you go to declutter clothes, here are a few questions to ask yourself. When is the last time I wore this? Does that look like it would be comfortable on my body today? Do I like how that looks? Okay. Yeah. Do I like how that looks? Do I want to wear that again this season, or am I kind of done? Oh, hey, I really like that. Maybe I'll make a plan on wearing that. This is the decluttering. Okay, packing away as we go into winter. So I just did this, Gail. So I will offer to you what I did. Was I noticed the stuff that I said, this is my summer clothes, and I did a really quick review before I put stuff in the 2 totes. I made sure it was clean, and then I said, can I envision myself wearing this next warm season? And if the answer was yes, I categorized those things. I used my bed as a sorting area, and I put like t-shirts here and summer underpants here and bathing suits here. And I put things away in categories so that when I open up that tote next spring, I will have things all together. There were some things that didn't make it that I said, well, I wore it this season, but I'm kind of done. So those things I also had a donation bag at the ready next to me. Okay. So therefore I was able to go through, and maybe I decluttered like 5% of the stuff, a few pieces, but every little piece helps. Now on the flip side, once I did that, when I was bringing out my winter clothes, I am there opening up a tote that I did the same thing in the springtime, that I wore that stuff. And I said back in the spring, can I imagine myself wearing this in like November? And spring me in the past said, yeah, I bet I could. Well, now I am me then. So when I open that up, I say, okay, back then I thought I might wear this. Do I want to wear this now? And for some of things, the answer is yes. But the neat thing is getting some distance from that clothing allowed me to see it with fresh eyes as I opened up the tote. And it allowed me to see the quantity I had, the quality I had. You know me, I'm all about the long sleeve plain black t-shirt, but boy, did I notice that some of those were kind of faded, kind of stretched, maybe a little stain, a little rip, a little kind of thin versus feeling like good quality. So I made a decision. Some of them I donated of that ilk. Others of those I saved for using as like pajama tops. And then I wrote a note to say, go to Primark and buy a few more of the good quality. I say the good quality ones, they're like $4.50 a piece. So notice that it's a journey. Okay. So if you're packing away, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a guess. I, from here, think I might want to wear that in the springtime. So put it away. And then in the springtime, as you bring it out, you can give yourself another opportunity to say, do I think I'm going to wear this? If I am, then you pick it up. I hope that helps, Gail, because notice what we did. We chunked things down. We got specific. We chunked things down and we dealt with just one chunk and we got curious. And curiosity will open up those lines of communication to say, you know, to converse with yourself. Can I imagine myself wearing that this next year? Yeah, I think I can. Okay, I'll put it in the bag. If this year you were like, man, those culottes didn't work out for me and I'm going to be happy to let them go, have a bag ready to leave with donations. Okay? Yeah. And notice what we did, Gail, and everybody. We slowed down. We chunked down. We talked through it. We had absence of judgment and just curiosity. Look at not judging yourself. You didn't, all these clothes you didn't wear. I had clothes for the few, the very, I own less clothes now, fewer pieces of clothes now than I probably ever have in my life. And even with that, I have some things I barely wore once this summer. Because I found, and maybe you will too, that you tend to wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time, and the other ones not as much. So that's how it works for me. Maybe it works for you. So reducing the things that you didn't wear or you only wore once or twice may be easier because you reflect back on, what did I wear this summer? Did I feel good in it? Did it look good on me? Do I like how I looked in pictures in that? All of those questions asked without judgment and with just curiosity. Curiosity allows yourself to feel safe in answering the question honestly. Okay? Now, I love this because we've got 11:58. We've got about 2 minutes, so we're going to start wrapping up. Ellen is signing off. She says, thanks, Beth, and everyone. Going to 2 places this afternoon to donate items. Enjoy the sunshine. Yeah, because I don't know about you guys. My God, yesterday 4:55 tonight is when the sun goes down where I am. Ugh. So yay for getting stuff done before the sun sets. Maybe one of the things you do to get done is you enjoy the sunshine while it's here. Okay. Now I'm going to sign off in just a moment. Oh my God, Laura got hail last night. Crazy. I'm going to quickly look at the, okay, just a couple of highlights from the page. Friday, Sunday, and Monday coming up are declutter parties. Tuesday is already in the rearview mirror. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we've got some TikToks and YouTubes, a declutter party, and an evening new YouTube. All of those things are under the TikTok or the TV guide. If you're not part of the email group, join it if you want. No pressure, no judgment. DestinationDecluttered.com. Scroll down to the bottom, put yourself in there. You can be part of the team. All right. All right, you guys, it's noontime. I got to see when my washer and dryer are being delivered. All right. In suburbia. This has been wicked fun. Have fun. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Bye.